are very happy to have with us Zeliha Ozgul-Memishi, who is lead project manager from Navistar, here to talk about issues management, managing root cause analysis. So welcome. Yes, let's welcome her up.
That was a fun song. Good morning, everybody. So yeah, I'm Zeliha Memishi, and I'm here from Navistar, and we're going to be discussing 5 why root cause analysis. Let me get this little fun thing. And how Navistar is using OROS to streamline its 5 why process. Okay. So our current use cases, or our current use issues management processes at Navistar are quite robust, and we use it for an array of problem-solving matters across a few of our functions like research and development, quality group, warranty, and manufacturing. Some of these include our records of decision, our craftsmanship, that's our industrial design team, early warning call that aids in tracking of our warranty issues, and they develop in the field, and that's used by our warranty group, as well as engineering judgment calls, which is a document the reasoning when an engineer uses judgment in lieu of testing. Okay. So like most of my projects at Navistar, it usually starts with an email or a phone call from my manager. But in this particular project, it started off with my manager coming over to my desk to let me know that in about an hour I'd be meeting with the Vice President of Quality and one of my colleagues in our quality group to discuss our current 5 why process and to develop a better and more streamlined process. And ultimately, a training program to capture that new process and implement it across our engineering, manufacturing, and quality groups. Our goal was to better utilize the 5 why problem-solving process and capture issues and find solutions, and then develop the training to effectively fill out the 5 why process template effectively. And that was only half of the project. The other half is the tool that we were going to use to implement this training and communicate it, track the issues, communicate the issues, and then ultimately implement the solutions quickly and effectively through our plants and then through our engineers, or vice versa. Sometimes it depends on how it happens. So we started off first by interviewing the current users, looking over some of our old processes or older templates that were in Excel format, and developed a template in OROS that captured mandatory fields, teams that we would need to, or people that should be interested parties, and as was mentioned yesterday with Jasmine, those extended elements that we put in there, can track important details and then apply, or allow for later to apply those extended elements for implementation of the solution. So, the best fit for 5 why. So utilizing OROS issues management, and moreover, the issues template, was important to be able to document our 5 why process effectively to eliminate past documentation process that proved really unreliable. Using the Excel format showed that it could be inconsistent, it was highly editable, and that didn't work well. And if the form really fit the problem, or was edited to fit the problem and not really fit the solution. And with this new template, we're able to eliminate portions from being left blank, which is really important in the 5 why process to consistently fill out all 5 of those whys. That's really hard to say, just so you guys know. And then eliminate, by making it a mandatory field in our OROS template, they can't move forward until that part is filled out. This eliminates inconsistencies, focuses on finding the solution to the problem while effectively documenting all the content. And that will definitely help apply knowledge to the solution. So measuring success. It all starts with understanding the knowledge and the flow of work. We've heard that a lot here the past couple of days, and measuring the success of this new 5Y process and ultimately the training program effort across the three functions of engineering, manufacturing, and quality are very important. During all of the meetings that we captured, it was always brought across that we need to make sure that knowledge that we have, that when we find the issue, is applied, and applying it is really how we fix it. And as per the message, as the last few days, understanding the knowledge and how we apply it in the flow of work is ultimately improving the overall process by reducing the number of 5 Ys over time, by developing a new knowledge base, applying it to KPACs, our new KPACs with our knowledge to eliminate future issues. And what we learn and capture and develop in those new KPACs, our engineering and quality groups can refer to later or apply that knowledge in knowledge packets in the flow of work effectively in eliminating all issues together. We'll see about that though. That is my presentation. I left this a little open, more so for questions and really the feedback that we can get. I know we've seen a lot of this issues management in earlier sessions. We may see it later, but really it's going to come across as a lessons learned. What can we capture as a lessons learned from this issues management? And that's what we're hoping to apply with this new process. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Well, I have some questions for you, so we'll make it a little interactive. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Ask a Question box, the green box on the session in the app, or raise your hand. So let's just kick it off here. I'm wondering why it was important for Navistar to transition from Excel to an OROS issue type for its 5Y process.
So the most important part was the traceability. Not currently, because we are now currently in process of applying this new method. But let's just call it currently, we're using Excel. And that is done via email, or it's filled out on someone's laptop, and they send it to their manager. And the version that that person has is different from the other version, and it's all swapped. And it's just not consistent. So the inconsistencies are one, so that's one of it. But the traceability is, where is this document? It could be in someone's email, their computer, they leave, or they move to a different position, and that knowledge is lost. So it's capturing the knowledge, the traceability, and of course, just effectively moving that forward.
And then why, or how difficult rather, was it to build the issue type based on the Excel format?
No, not difficult at all, actually. It was actually pretty easy. And when we have a problem, we usually call Camille. So there's that too.
Makes sense.
No, it was actually quite easy to build the issue template in OROS. Rick and I, my colleague Rick and I, have had a good time, building that and actually continuously improving it. So during our training sessions with the current users or the users that, or super users that would be using it more often, we asked them or interviewed them, when you fill out that Excel template, what do you need, or what do you feel is important? Because they're using this all the time. I'm not. And they would know best. So interviewing them helped us develop also a better process or a better template to implement the process.
That makes sense. All right, we've got some questions coming in on the app now. Okay. Was consistency in creating the issues a major factor? And how has the new version improved this?
Yes. To answer the first question, absolutely. The new version, we have not been able to measure that yet because we're implementing it as we speak. However, I see it being a great way to apply the knowledge via the KPACs that will be written from the lessons learned, and applying that knowledge for future issues to be non-existent.
Perfect. They continue to roll in. All right, good stuff. How much IT involvement is required when a change is needed?
In this particular case, no IT was needed in this particular process change.
All right, thanks for that. 5 whys. How do the results get fed back to knowledge authors connected with Navistar's knowledge in the flow-enabled processes?
Okay. I'm going to hope I understood this one correctly. So within the template, in the 5 why, there's the fix or the fixer or whoever is applied to fix this issue. The goal is that once that issue is fixed, they write a KPAC of that knowledge, and then it is applied to the future work. So again, that's kind of the step-by-step that we're hoping to bring across in our training. So it's not just training, so it's like a 3-part training almost. It's how to fill it out correctly using the template that we've just created, and then applying that knowledge once those 2 buckets are full.
Okay, and if we need any other follow-up question, feel free.
Yeah, please.
Okay, perfect. How can we manage similar issues and find connections between them?
How can we find similar issues?
I heard a whisper.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is that what they mean? Yeah, okay. Definitely, yes, the proximity search. I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question completely.
Perfect, thank you.
You got that, Rick? You can hear Rick. Yes, the proximity search is definitely a way to capture and look at other issues that are connected, and our extended elements are going to definitely help with finding that.
Okay, how did you get employee participation to use the new system?
Like any transition, it was really getting the message out in a consistent and effective effort. In an effective effort. And it's not really what you say, it's how you say it. I never really liked when someone just said, guess what, we're doing this today, and that's not fun. You have to kind of change everything. So it's really how we roll it out, the messaging, and having the users understand why we're making this transition. It's never to really just make someone's life more difficult or, make it so cumbersome that applying all of this or making more work, and really what are they getting out of it? It's really to make sure that in the end, their life is actually a lot easier because they're capturing the knowledge. They don't have to go looking for it. It's right there, and then we could start applying it. So it just makes it easier for everybody. But it wasn't that difficult. Everyone's been pretty open to it.
Got more. You've talked about ways of measuring success with respect to lessons learned, but what is success for Navistar or you as a project manager?
In this particular project, measuring success would be, we're always going to have issues. We're always going to have 5 whys, but it's the success would be properly documenting them and then applying that knowledge that we learn. It's not necessarily never having an issue again. While that's great, I just don't think you learn if you don't have issues that come up.
Sure. Why an issue type was selected for this process? What is the advantage versus a method KPAC with 5 steps?
The issues management we just kind of liked how that one looked, to be honest with you, and just the ability for how it was easier to read through. Now, as a user constantly, as Rick and I are in OROS constantly, we could have done a method KPAC, absolutely, but our users may not always be filling out this issues management, and I believe the issues part or the tool is a little easier for them to fill out than a method KPAC, just being honest.
And how do users initiate an issue?
So we're actually having conversations about this. Currently, they would just literally go to that issues icon and start it up, fill out all of the, pick the program they're working on where the issue was, and fill out that way, just kind of go in order. But we may be putting it in its own COP. We're discussing that right now, just to see how we could streamline it. Again, it's in its beginners kind of staging or beginner stages, and we want to kind of get feedback before we make, big changes on it.
And we did have one comment that said documenting, not creating. I'm not entirely sure what that was referring to.
The first question I asked, when you create an issue, it's not, you don't create issues, you're documenting the issue. So that's it.
Oh, this is a comment.
Right.
I create issues all the time. All the time. Ask Rick. So, Zeliha created another issue.
We've got one here.
You document those in OROS too.
How do you decide what threshold an issue needs to be before it goes in as a 5Y requirement? In other words, every single little problem that might get documented on an Excel spreadsheet, you may not want to put all of those into ROs.
They're normally a manufacturing problem or a supplier quality problem that we like to have documented, or that's part of the process that needs to be documented as a 5Y. Not every single issue, no, but it's specific ones within internally that we like having in a 5Y process.
And then we just had one more come in on the app, and then we'll grab yours. Can process anomaly notifications be used to create an issue instead of human entry?
So kind of like getting it done automatically? Am I understanding that? Okay. Maybe. I'm not sure yet. To be honest, I haven't thought of that, so I can't answer that one correctly. Rick, do you have an idea? I would say no. Yeah. Can't answer that right now.
I can see in processes where once you kick it off,
Mm-hmm.
there'll be a manual thing that's going to know. But I don't know if there's AI possibilities there.
Maybe we'll learn more about it later.
We may.
During our ad process. We're
I like
learning
that.
too.
All right.
That light really is.
It is bright,
It's
right
bright.
in that line,
I
yes.
apologize.
So you've had a fairly lengthy implementation of OROS at, and now I hear more about your more formalized 5Y process. How would you characterize the overall? What metrics do you use to measure success? Is there improving qualities that you're able to see through time? Through what, between the beginning of using OROS at Navistar to the present moment, how do you see, what do you see as success? What are your success metrics?
Currently, from when we first started till now, I wasn't there at the beginning. I was probably still in school. But what I see is documentation or knowledge management getting a lot better since then. That traceability has been really great to be able to capture that knowledge and then later apply it. When we first started out, I hear that it was write a bunch of K-packs, but we've started to reverse course and really use the assessment first approach instead of that approach. But still, moreover, we still have all of that knowledge in OROS and the ability to apply it, and now finding new ways to apply or use OROS, not just within R&D or in engineering, but our quality groups, our warranty, our after sales. So a lot of our groups have now started to use the tool, and that helps across all functions tie all that information together. And now this new process as well, kind of roping in manufacturing. I say rope in.
Yep, right. One more right behind. Yep.
I actually have two questions. Hope you don't mind. The first one is
Okay.
the first one is from the day of your initial investment in OROS to the time that you started seeing positive results. How long did it take? And second question is, within your organization, how did you communicate that OROS is the new way to go for?
The first question, you mean like from the first day we got OROS at Navistar? Is that what you mean? I was going to say, because I can't answer that one. I wasn't there. Rick would know. He was in that team.
Yeah, I actually started out with this in 2013 when Navistar came in. And it took us a good 4 years to get going because we went that KPAC first philosophy where everybody in engineering was to write X number of KPACs, and we got a lot of, and I'll be honest, garbage in at the very beginning that we had to sort through. So it took us a while to sort through the garbage and get to the good KPACs that we could actually start using. It took about 4 years to get that in. So, going with our new processes, when we bring a new process on, one of the first things we do is when somebody comes in and says, hey, I got this idea, first thing we ask for is, hey, who's going to lead this process? Because we're not. We're not the technical experts there. And then once we get that established, then we'll start working on that using the assessment first technique for that new process. And that's showing to be very, very well received by people, and it's showing to be very, very successful as we're going through that process. So.
And the second question, I'm sorry.
How did you communicate within your organization that OROS is the new way to go?
It's not necessarily the new or only way to go. We use other tools, of course, as well. And what's interesting is how we, connect the two tools. A lot of times between connectors and so on.
Initially, it was a top-down, we're going to do this type. And honestly, it wasn't well received. Navistar is a culture that, hey, if I just wait it out, it'll go away, right? I'm sure so there's, but, and only because we did have that top-down push from our previous VPs, it did stick around and it really got activated and got working because the groundswell for the people below. We had, select individuals who really said, hey, this is really what we need. This is what I've been looking for. This is really helps our processes. And using those people, those are the ones that really drove it across the organization, not the top-down approach necessarily, but we did need that to start. So it kind of went from both directions.
Yeah, currently it's a lot softer and it's more communicated in a way that is, we try to make sure that we get everybody's input before we just push it down somebody. I mean, there has to be a logical reason why we're using the tool.
I have a follow-up question, if you don't mind again. This may be a question to all other users of OROS. So is 4 years normal? Is that how it's working out for others? Or?
Users?
Or is it an Navistar specific?
Oh, even more. I got it even more. Even longer. Anyone else? I'm
I
taking.
really think that's the approach we take.
Mm-hmm.
And the side organization is, we try to do it.
No, you're good. Thanks.
We try to do it through all of engineering in one shot, and that was just a nightmare because everybody wanted to do things differently, and we were trying to manage all these different pieces. And again, I think a lot more with the seed projects that's starting now. OROS has realized through working with us in the past and several other companies back at that time that maybe that approach wasn't the best. But if you start looking at a process and not looking at it as an organizational thing, but a process thing, and start small and take that process through, and people see that value you get out of using that process, it'll eventually expand to other processes. Just like working with this issue type, I've had 2 other groups say, hey, we've got issues or something we want to track, we want to be able to follow. So we're bringing those guys on board, and they're like, okay. And then somebody asked about whether or not it should have been a 5-step assessment versus, well, the group I'm working with, it's like, well, can we take that later and make it into an assessment or into a method KPAC? And you can always continue to learn and expand and generate the way you use it. And it's a tool that wants to grow with you the way you need to grow. So,
Can I
Thank
add
you.
something to that too?
Sure.
This is a great question indeed, and obviously applies to everyone here. The lessons learned process that you went through in the first several years, it's itself a lessons learned process of using lessons learned. And can I add one layer on top of that? By the way, I'm sort of filling in. If Jeff were here, he'd be all over this question. So I'll do my best to fill in for Jeff here on this. But over the course of the last several years of interacting with you, all of you, end users and customers, we too have uncovered what are better ways to implement OROS where it can be speeded up. You have come up with the 5 why process. We hear from others, go 10 questions deep. There are many strategies to seek out the truth. And we're always on the lookout for better ways, faster, more efficient ways of getting the nugget of the idea out. That, after all, is a KPAC, right? And so we continue to use those sorts of ways to learn ourselves through our interactions, through our AEs. And if Jeff were here, he would have rejected any top-down approach point blank. It never works, and you are seeing evidence of that. Rick, you mentioned it. Top-down approaches just have not succeeded, which made Jeff Moffa leave Ford Motor Company and work for OROS, start OROS. But the basic essence is that bottoms-up grassroots efforts, generally with the buy-in of the individuals who are the contributors to that, are the heart of all the know-how that exists in any organization.
Absolutely.
And that's sort of the fingerprint of how know-how grows and is shareable. That's the grassroots, bottoms-up approach is what OROS has always promoted throughout.
Absolutely. That's why, when one of the questions was, how is it being received? It was really important. While I may have gotten, the invite from the top and said, hey, we need to do this, it was really important to me to make sure we didn't just say, by the way, we're doing this because X said so. It was really important to meet with each one of the groups that are going to have a stake in this and get their take on it. So they feel like not just that they feel, but that they did participate in actively getting the training process kicked off, how we should do so. And we have regularly scheduled meetings where we, look at OROS and we'll look at the template and, hey, can we change this? Because they don't know sometimes if we can, can we do this? Can we do that? And I usually call Camille and say, hey, can we do this? And she says, yeah, and or no. And that's one of our main reasons as to how and why the approach that we're taking to make sure that it's successful isn't, this is how we're doing it now, by the way. It's more, we've decided, or I'm sorry, more so we think that this may be a good idea. What do you guys think? Let's try to tailor it to make it, better for everybody and easier to use and make sure we have the information that we need and kind of list all the benefits like I did today. I actually used some of these slides when I presented it to them because I made it as a presentation to the users that this is the reasoning behind it, this is what we're currently doing, do you kind of see why it doesn't work well, and so on. And by the end, I haven't had anybody really that said, well, I liked Excel more. No one has said that. So.
Good.
No one likes Excel.
Perfect way to end. Thank you so much,
Thanks, everyone.
Zeliha.
Thank you.
Yeah.